JoJo. JoJo Siwa. I really want to be rooting for you. Seriously, girly, I actually want to be rooting for you. I have actually stood up for JoJo Siwa on my TikTok and on this channel in the past. I did a reaction to one of her really old songs, might have been Boomerang or something. You know, I was jamming out. I was not the target demographic. I'm still not the target demographic at all, I don't think. But I have some criticisms to give. I'm certainly not alone. This is probably not going to be a unique perspective to any other video you've watched, but if you're anything like me and you are absolutely obsessed with watching analysis videos or commentary videos on JoJo Siwa, then you will enjoy this. If you are new here and you know nothing about JoJo Siwa and you're thinking, who the heck is this? JoJo Siwa started off on Dance Mum. It sounds weird when I say that. I feel like I should be saying Dance Moms. That was a terrible American accent. It was a dance competition-esque style reality TV show. Abby Lee Miller was the dance instructor slash boss lady of the series. She was very, very harsh to these kids. JoJo grew and got her fame from Dance Mums to begin with. It was overall a very toxic show. JoJo then kind of transitioned over to doing YouTube vlogs. I remember she used to have this really crazy intro that was like she was a character, but you know, she was doing her thing. She was friends with many different YouTubers, including the one and only Colleen Ballinger, who of course now is cancelled for good reason. In her videos she would show off her merch room, and I would actually watch sometimes because she always struck me as a very crazy out there character, and I always found some kind of interest in her, not from like a fan point of view. Certainly I was too old to be a fan of JoJo Siwa, but I definitely found it very interesting, and I thought she had some very good business moves, probably not made on her part but by her mummager. Her mum is like her manager and probably is actually behind all of the business aspects of JoJo's career in wanting to make her famous, which I have opinions on too, but we won't go into that in this video. I kind of respected the hustle, and I could see that she was doing very well for herself. She became like a millionaire or something crazy from just selling JoJo Siwa merchandise. She was everywhere at one point. I remember when I was working at Primark, she had 1,000 bows she was selling. She was everywhere. Every shop I went into she was there. Claire's Accessories, Primark, all kinds of different stores. She was just all over the joint. Kids loved her. She was rich as hell from doing it. She was living her full YouTube life. I'm in support of anybody doing that. I absolutely love YouTube and the culture on YouTube, so I always found it interesting to watch her videos here and there just to kind of see what was going on. And she would pop up in collaborations with older YouTubers that I watched at the time, most of which are problematic and cancelled now, but that's besides the point. She has also come out and actually supported Colleen Ballinger, which again, I will leave that whole fiasco to this video, but JoJo certainly has been problematic in ways of supporting these kinds of people. When I first saw TikTok ripping into her, I really wanted to be on her side. JoJo is like, she's always authentically been herself. I've always respected that, you know, she was the kind of child star that people could have their kids look up to and not have to worry about anything problematic. She was very much very rainbow, very bows, very eccentric. She always was very out there and just herself. And yes, she was aimed towards kids, but even as she got older, towards her teenage years, she was still dressing that way, and in a way I kind of respected that. She was clinging on to her immature younger side for longer than most people would, especially in the spotlight. Most kid stars will start to kind of mature and try to go a different direction with themselves and have kind of like their Miley Cyrus moment, which I know is what JoJo wants so desperately right now. I always respected that she still continued to be such a big role model to younger children, and she didn't really care what others thought of her that were a bit more her age and questioned why a teenager was still dressing in that way. I found it kind of respectful in a way that she was just doing her thing and she just continued to be a little bit more childish and out there and eccentric, and I kind of liked that, and I thought, wow, she's a really strong role model and she's out there living her life. She's not hurting anyone. Who are we to tell her when to grow up, you know? Then in around 2020, I think it was, I could be wrong on the timeline, but I remember seeing that she had come out. She first posted a photo of herself that her cousin had given her a t-shirt or something, and it said like best cousin, gay cousin ever or something on it. I remember this being quite the frenzy on the internet. She then went on to make a few TikToks and stuff, confirming her coming out. She then had this whole era of having many different girlfriends on TikTok, and there was much drama with that. I wasn't really following it, but it would still come up here and there. I remember one baseball edit where she came up and, you know, she just started to dress a little bit more maturely, but she was doing it in a much more natural way than what she's trying to do now. I feel like her glow up era has already happened when she was on Dancing with the Stars, for example. She was already having her moment and people were really starting to support her more. I certainly saw a shift in the narrative and people stopped bullying her so much online, and I saw that people were finally kind of liking her and accepting her, and even though people weren't still like fans of hers per se, and they weren't really in her target audience, much like myself, people started to support her more because she was authentically growing up in a way that just felt more smooth and real than what she's trying to do now. She wasn't planning it out as a business move. She wasn't out here saying, oh, look at me, I'm grown up, I'm mature now, this is my Miley Cyrus moment. She wasn't rubbing it in our faces. She was just simply existing and being true to who she was, and coming out helped with that so much. It caused quite a lot of stir because, you know, she was a Nickelodeon or Disney star, one of the two, and I believe it was Nickelodeon. Obviously, even in this day and age, that can kind of cause a stir. She didn't get invited to the Kids' Choice Awards just after she came out, and she'd always been quite a staple there. People were really praising her for being herself authentically, despite the backlash and the money that she could lose by doing so. She was such a role model for kids. She would kind of be shunned a little bit, in a way, and could be shunned by parents for if they had certain views on homosexuality, etc. But she still went out there, she still did concerts for kids where she spoke openly about being gay, and she was still being herself regardless of any backlash she was receiving, and a lot of people found that respectful. She was just in her growing up, glow up, coming out era, and I think that was the best era of JoJo Siwa. I certainly did not become a fan, but I started following her on TikTok. I started following her a little bit more because more so than ever she was starting to intrigue me. I love a gay icon, and that's what she seemed to be. I thought, wow, you go girl. And it was really nice to see her authentically out there living her true self at such a young age as well. She certainly came out much younger than I did. I just was so proud of her. I wasn't a fan of hers at all, like I've said many times. I really did respect her and the way that she was growing up, you know, and it didn't have to be this big wow shock moment. It was small things like when she had her hair cut, people were shocked, or she'd wear her hair down without all the jewels and not in the high ponytail that we know her for, and she would just do it casually, and whilst it was shocking people, it was being done in a way that was making her much more relatable and certainly much more liked amongst the public outside of just her kid fan base. Now the problem with her right now is that she is trying so desperately hard to become something that she's not, in my opinion, that she was already, but she's kind of gone backwards for herself, which is a shame. She was entering her grown-up, authentic self era, and now she's just kind of got in her own head so much that she's trying to be more grown up, but she's not being authentically herself. Or perhaps it's that she is being too authentically herself, but she's trying to brand it as being more grown up, when at the end of the day she should have just released Karma, released it how she wanted, wear whatever she wants to wear. I have no problem with her outfit in the music video. People are ripping it to shreds. I feel like it's quite authentic to her style that she already had. To be honest, her look in Karma is literally just how she used to dress as a kid, all rainbow sparkly, very show business, very out there. She's just doing that in a much darker sense. I feel like that transition would have worked much better if she just didn't hype it up so much and talk such a big game about being, you know, the first to invent gay pop, which most certainly is not true. She's just a part of a genre that's been around for quite some time, and I feel like as a gay role model to people now, she really should have started she should have started this rebound in a much different way. She should not have worded things the way that she's been wording them, and I think she's very much just ruining it with her mouth vomit. And I think if she had stayed perhaps a bit more silent as she made into this kind of transition phase, I think this would have gone on a little bit more smoothly. I think people still would have made fun of her for sure for Karma. However, I don't think there's anything actually wrong with the new music she's putting out, the new album she's putting out, with the music video of Karma. I actually think Karma's a bop. It's stuck in my head. I'm singing it all the time. I've even got JoJo's version on my phone. Do I feel ashamed when I'm getting my phone out in public to listen to it? And I'm like, please, no one see me listening to this? Of course I do. I'm a 30-year-old woman listening to Karma by JoJo Siwa, unironically. But I think she definitely could have done this in a different way. I don't think she perhaps needs to change how she's dressed in the video. I think, again, it's just more about how she's presenting herself. You know, it feels like her media training has just suddenly gone out the window, and it's like self-destruction. She is a likeable person, and I feel like she's just really letting herself down with some of the things that she's saying on podcasts and things like this, and at her release party saying that a certain song was about her ex. And then it's come out that, you know, Karma was obviously not originally hers, it was just bought and remastered by JoJo, and that's fine, that's something that happens in the music industry. But if she just embraced that and was honest about it, I feel like people would be more accepting of her and would definitely be on board with this new era that she's trying to go into. I feel like if you're trying to do a rebrand and come from being a kid star to an adult star, you don't address it. You don't come out here talking about how much you're changing and how evolutionary you're being and how no one's done this before you other than Miley Cyrus and how much you've always dreamt of this moment. You just don't talk about it, you don't address it, you just act chill and you just promote your music and you just go about your day. And I feel like by being so self-aware in what she's trying to do and by sharing with the public so publicly how much of a business move this is, it comes off as inauthentic in the way that she's certainly trying to go for a certain thing. She's admitted herself that she is trying to be Miley Cyrus in her bangers era. And of course, drawing a comparison like that when Miley Cyrus was so iconic in that time, I remember the change between Miley Cyrus being kid-friendly and a role model and all that when We Can't Stop was released, and it was so drastic. I remember all the backlash she received at the time. But this is nothing like that, and I think that if she was a bit more self-aware of that fact, she would be doing much better now in this whole Karma phase of her career. There was a TikToker that wrote a song that she basically claimed to be her own at her release party, and the thing is, the song is an absolute banger. It is an absolute banger, but she just did not have to word it in the way that she words things. You know, she doesn't explicitly say, I wrote this, I don't think. I could be wrong there, but it's the way that she words things, and she very much tries to make out that every move is her own and that she's done all this on her own and she is the first person to ever do these things. And there's nothing wrong with her being proud of her craft and proud of what she's doing. But again, it's just the way in which she's talking to the public about every move that she's making is just making everyone turn against her. Because that song is such a bop. And again, I don't know if she perhaps brought this song off of this TikToker or whatever happened in that situation, but there are ways in which this can be done in the music industry and not have it be so detrimental to your career like this. I mean, I feel like it's common knowledge that songs get brought by artists and remastered and re-released, and it's never been an issue. The way that she handles things and the way she says things, she makes it seem like she's stealing music from smaller creators. She makes it seem like she's a lyrical genius, or when she said, I was scared of saying the word bitch, she's just not helping herself because she just didn't need to go there. She didn't need to say all that. If she just embraced it and didn't make a big deal out of what she's doing, I think people would have forgotten about this much quicker than they have. And I wouldn't be sat here making this video, I don't think. The thing is, I love Karma. I'm going to go out there and say it. I love Karma. I'm always listening to it, it's stuck in my head. I've listened to the original version too by Britt Smith, which is actually called Karma's a Bitch. I like both versions, I think they're both great. I actually find JoJo's version a bit more modern and a little bit better of an interpretation, and so therefore I listen to it a bit more. And I understand that people critique her singing skills and stuff, but she has said in the past she doesn't consider herself a singer. But then again, she's also said she does consider herself a singer. And then it doesn't make sense to compare yourself to legends like Miley Cyrus or gay pop icons like Lady Gaga, Elton John. It doesn't make sense to compare yourself to those people if you're also trying to brand yourself as not a serious singer. This is the problem with JoJo Siwa. I feel like she needs to kind of just lay low, and with her next few singles, I I feel like they're going to be bangers, and she just needs to handle herself a little bit differently. I respect her, I respect the craft and the grind, but I think that she definitely needs someone to step in on her team and be like, okay, we need to approach the releasing of these singles a little bit differently than we did with Karma. Don't get me wrong, it certainly worked. Everyone's talking about her, everyone's talking about Karma. I mean, it's worked as a marketing strategy for sure. Maybe it's all on purpose. Maybe she's a bigger genius than we think. At the end of the day, I think definitely she should have just stuck to the rebrand era that she was in before. She could have just come out with Karma, dressed normally, doing a normal music video, and people would have been more shocked by that. If there was no gemstones, no crazy... people would have been shocked by it. I feel like going the more subtle route and just doing that would have been more shocking in comparison to what we have here. However, who am I to speak, because it has worked, and ultimately we're all here making videos about it. So I mean, hats off to JoJo, isn't it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I do respect her, and I've got the song downloaded on my phone. It's a bop. Whatever she's doing, it's working, and you know, I don't think it's okay to bully anyone or harass anybody to the extent that I've seen of JoJo Siwa. It probably doesn't bother her because it's making her money at the end of the day and promoting her new album. I do think some people are being a little bit too harsh on the girl. If you disregard her views on Colleen Ballinger and all that, you know, you have to take into account that she was young when she met Colleen, and Colleen's being accused of grooming, and so therefore obviously she's going to have a certain mindset. Hello? Because she was friends with Colleen from a young age, obviously she's gonna, I hate to say it, be a little groomed. So, you know, that's just how it is. She's a victim, if anything, and I don't think I've heard anyone else say that. Shoot me for saying my opinion, but that's just what I think. Let me know if you actually like the song. Let me know if you think, even if you just don't care about JoJo. I mean, personally, I respect the grind, I respect how much money she's made, I respect that she's out and proud, and congratulations to her. Hope that she goes a slightly different direction with the album, because I actually think she has potential. And that might be very controversial to say, but I actually think she has a lot of potential with this next album. I think in the future she'll probably release an album that is much better critically acclaimed and probably will be way more mature in sound. I feel like this is probably just like a mid-album of like shock and controversy just to stir the pot to get, you know, more fans for the next time she releases real music that she's actually passionate about. That's my hope. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in my next one. Peace.